In this section, I want to come and share something of my story with you that I trust will encourage and empower you to really go out and be the change that you want to see. It all started off with an annual theme that we had in our church called Jeremiah Sent Me. At that stage, I was still part of the leadership of Doxa Deo, and I had this desire in my heart to really return into the business world, to go and be a city changer in that sector of our society. Well, who of you know that when you ask God something, He really answers? And He quickly answered my prayer. And He gave me the following words, to really go and be brave and be fearless and go into the business world and love people well. And with that mandate and background, I started off in familiar ground for me when I went back to a company that I worked for 13 years. At that stage, it was two businesses that merged together. It was new people and new ideas. It was old people, and it had nothing to do with the age of people, but people that were thought of to have an old mindset regarding the processes and procedures that is in the business. Those people knew the industry very well, but in a way resisted the change that needs to come into the business. There were different management styles, there were definite egos, and they were a leadership team that were not quite in unity in terms of how to take this business into the future. On top of that, we had external circumstances. And 7 months down the track since I started joining this company, the shareholders intervened, they restructured that whole business, and in one day, 50% of the exco were retrenched, my contract was terminated, and my initial reaction were a lot of fear. Looking back at that, I've realized that this was the best learning ground that any person can ever be in. Because I've realized how unhealthy people and unhealthy working environments can hinder a God-given kingdom vision. But I soon realized that there was something that God placed in me that I can use to help companies to become healthy and to achieve their God-given vision. So I took what I had in my hand, which was at that stage a graceful life, a process that will help people to become wholehearted. I combined that with my love for reading, and when I read a lot, but I read specific, focused things. I read about personal development, about wholeness, about interpersonal relationships, and the dynamic around working in a team together. I also love reading about transformational leadership and how to create healthy relational cultures. I took all of this and developed something that had the potential to transform lives. For the past 3 years, I had the privilege to facilitate groups of people through life-changing processes in one of the biggest corporate companies in South Africa, and the change and the stories that we hear is affecting the culture in every area that we see. I firmly believe that it is healthy people in healthy relationships that are creating healthy organizations. So to help you as our listener, I want to give you an easy tool that we found in Galatians 6 verse 4 that said, make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you have been given, and then go and sink yourself into this. That scripture makes me think about an onion that has different layers of meaning, and I just want us to unpack each one of that layers of meaning. First of all, this scripture is saying to us, who are you? What is your story? What is your potential? What is the talents and the knowledge? Where have you grown up, and in what way have your environment shaped you or maybe limited you to the thinking patterns that is needed for you to really be effective in the world we are operating in? And then when you made that careful exploration of who you are and you take your story, then it's easy to connect the dots and make sure that you are not dragging something negative of yesterday into your today, because that will definitely affect your tomorrow. So my question to you as a listener is, are you wholehearted? And if not, have the courage to deal with whatever is keeping you back, to really take into possession that which has been deposited in you. Then the second layer of meaning is to find your role. Make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you have been given. I truly believe that there's a specific role that each one of us can play. You were created to do something specific. And when you are in that role, there will be passion and purpose. I know of so many people that are working for a salary that they get at the end of the month, but they are not really passionate about what they are doing. And to get to that purpose and passion, ask yourself these 3 questions. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? And what do you want to change? What do you want to make better? And if you integrate that, you will find something of your role and purpose in life. The third layer that I want us to explore is that you look at your role within a team context. What do you bring into that team? Are you a humble team player? What I mean with that is that you look at your team members and you look at a person and can say, you know what, your idea is really better than mine. Or I wish I can do things as well as you can do. A humble person knows that I don't have to have all the answers. It's also a hungry person. What we mean with that is that you're constantly out there to see what you can improve and how can you become more excellent in the team context. The last one of being a good, an amazing team player is to be smart, and that is when you are good in interpersonal skills. And with that, I mean you know what is the contribution that you are making into the relational environment that the team are operating in. And when there are issues in a team, don't you want to pause and have the courage to have that difficult conversation so that you can ensure that the relational environment in which you operate is really healthy? The last layer we want to look at is the organization that you are part of. And first of all, my question to you is, do you want to be where you are? It is so important that you work in an organization that you really know, I want to be there. And once you've got the answer to that question, is that you make sure that you have clarity regarding what is taking place in the organization. Ask the questions, why do we exist? What is our purpose beyond making money? Because that is how we connect our hearts to the why and the purpose of the organization. The second question is, how do we behave? And once you know the values of the organization, ask yourself the question, can I relate my own values to the values of this organization? And then the last one is, what do we do? And what is my contribution that I can bring to this organization? In asking the what question, it's what is important right now? What is our focus? Who is doing what? And if you are constantly seeking that clarity, and you don't wait for somebody to come and tell it to you, you are the curious one to go and find out, to get that clarity, you will soon find out that you are one of those people that are creating to become a healthy organization. So my challenge to you as a listener is, will you become a co-creator of a healthy organization? And the easy things is, stop any negative talk. Stop being so easily offended. Don't participate in gossip. Don't play politics. Be humble. Be a servant. React in the opposite spirit. And go and love people well. Because if you do, they will eventually come and ask you about the Jesus that loves you well.